Well, it certainly has been something of a party here on Squawk on this TGIF Friday here. How did those cliches go? Karen, Shree, Marty, Kirby, Jim, parting is such sweet sorrow, but all good things have to come to an end. Let's start the parting shots here and thoughts for the weekend. We got financial reform vote coming up in the Senate on Monday. Jim, what should we think over this weekend if we had to leave our viewers with one or two thoughts?
Well, let me tell you, Bernie, the thing that I've got most on my mind is Iceland, because if Katla, the big volcano, blows, and it has blown every 100 years for 1,000 years, and it always frequently blows after the small volcano blows, if that happens, you're going to see a lot of disruption in the world economy, and you're going to see agriculture. I mean, you better buy all the agriculture you can if that happens. I have no idea if Katla's going to blow, but if Katla blows, it's going to change everything we're talking about here today.
Well, I wasn't quite expecting meteorology, but he's certainly a man of his own thoughts. Kirby, how worried are you about Icelandic volcanoes?
What he says is exactly right. You just read the research on it, and it's quite scary what the past eruptions of the large volcano have done to agricultural production around the world, to climate. It could be devastating to a very fragile global economy that does not need an external shock like that. Mm-hmm. And that's something even President Obama cannot control.
Wow. So you're an agricultural commodity fan.
Absolutely.
Well, the supply is going to go down. Arable land is going to go down. Jim?
I just want to say it's an observation. It's not a prediction on my mind. I am not a meteorologist, whatever you call them, a volcanist. But as Kirby said, you do the research and you'll see it's happened this way very often, and it will have huge effects.
Jim is Jim Rogers, but he's not Nostradamus, one would hope, right, Kirby?
He's as close as I've met.
Okay. What about what other thoughts? We've got the vote on Monday. Is that going to figure big, or do you think that's a fait accompli?
Well, it looks at this point like it is. I don't think it's not going to affect the markets until we see what's really in it. I mean, at this point, we believe it's coming. I think it's factored into the market, so we need to see what's in it once it's passed. I think the people who pass it need to see what's in it once it's passed. That's the scary thing.
All right, Jim, we've talked about this before many times. Farmland, you like it? Any new spots, new places?
Well, it depends on what I'd rather do is buy the agricultural products themselves rather than the farmland, because if you buy farmland, you've got to buy the right farmland. You've got to make sure it rains on your farmland. You've got to make sure the sun comes out. So I'd rather buy the products themselves, because if it doesn't rain on your farm, that's good for me, because I own the product. So that's my way to play.
All right, so among the softs, what do you like?
I like them all. I like all agriculture, especially if we start seeing Katla blow. I'm going to buy a lot more of agricultural products.
Let's switch gears, Jim, and talk about precious metals, because one of the trends I noticed in the first quarter is that the PGMs outperformed gold. Are they looking more compelling as a bet if you're looking to take a punt on the precious metals?
Yeah, I own them all, including gold, but silver is 70% below its all-time high. Gold is near its all-time high. Palladium is 70. These other precious metals are very, very depressed on a historic basis, while gold is making all-time highs in euros and in some currencies. No, I'd much rather buy silver than gold these days, but I'm not selling my gold.
Let's get some about Kirby's strategies in here. You say the US markets are overvalued by 30 to 40%, but you're not recommending shorting. What's your approach then when it comes to US stocks?
Well, look, this is nothing new, and I've been wrong. I've been saying that since last summer. If you've been following, look, the markets have been overvalued based on what we have coming on the underlying economic fundamentals and the ability for this to become a self-sustaining recovery, in my view. We have a number of roadblocks to overcome on the consumption side that I don't believe we can overcome. And with the overhang of the sovereign debt issue coming, and it is coming, look at it spreading, as Rob was saying, contagion already to Portugal. It's not going to go away. This is going to be a drag on growth for years to come. So when to sell? When will equities revalue? How quickly will they revalue? That's a big question. I don't think it's a great trade. We're talking about a 5 to 10 year subpar growth period where equity markets are going to underperform, and it's going to be a very difficult investing environment. So when I say they're overvalued, I don't mean jump in, sell because they're coming right back. This market is defying gravity. It's crazy. It's very difficult to invest.
Kirby, what would you... Kirby, what would you short? I'm looking for shorts. I don't see any great excesses in the financial markets, except maybe the financials again. Where are the excesses?
I think there are very few excesses when you say it like that. Nothing is in bubble territory. They're sort of technically slightly overbought. Nothing is in sort of second derivatives situations where we would definitely scream sell. I, like you, do not like the financials. I said it last week, pre-Goldman announcement. I think that even before that, they're getting to the point where there's not really much more upside there, and I think that there's a lot of risk now to the downside with headline risk especially, and I don't want to touch them. Shorting them is a different story. If you have profit in financials, take it.
If nothing is screaming buy me out there, maybe this is time to cut a check and take that round-the-world tour with the missus that you've been denying yourself for the last 15 years or so. Why not? You got to live a little bit sometimes, you know?
Not argue with that.
Kirby, what about technology? I see that these technology stocks are having great earnings, and yet they're going down. And I haven't paid much attention. Is that a place to sell?
Look, I'll tell you what. I don't know if it's a place to sell, but I'll tell you this. The idea that CapEx is going to drive the technology industry, I think, is being overplayed. Again, we're right now at the confluence of the implementation of stimulus around the world that is going to be taken out. So that we're not going to have consumption, and we're not going to have CapEx to drive that. So I don't think tech is a screaming buy here. Shorting it, different story again.
Kirby, always